All right. Hello, folks. Welcome to another webinar. I am your host, Ryan Faloona, and today we have a very, very special treat for you. We're going to be discussing the Benzinga team's vision for 2020. We have an absolutely huge year coming up. We wanted to share that with you today. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to our CEO, Jason Raznick, fearless leader. Jason, take it away.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for having me on. I'm sorry that was Andrew Weiss with his phone ringing. We got to kick that guy out. He's the guy that behind the scenes that makes a lot of this stuff happen. But we're really excited for what's to come in 2020, 2019. We introduced a lot of new developments to the platform. Sometimes those new developments cause some issues to the platform, which we fixed. And what I want to say more than anything, we believe you guys are the owners of the platform. The way Benzinga Pro grows, but also makes your life easier, is by you giving us feedback. We have a button where you can click feedback, but we take it sincerely. We have a big team that's working on the platform. If there's something that you're using on a regular basis somewhere else, or you want our platform to improve, please, and I mean please, please, please communicate that to us. We have a button where you can click feedback, but my email address is jason@benzinga.com. My cell phone, and I'm happy to give it, is 248-766-0000. You can text or call me. And people say you shouldn't get out your number. At the end of the day, we want this to be absolutely amazing for you. And we have ideas on how we can take this to the next level and make your life easier. And we see things when, I use the platform when I log in. I'm like, wait, why don't I just first see news on the stocks I'm watching when I log in versus seeing stocks and everything? And you can set that in your settings. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of power in the platform. We want to make it easier for you to find the power, but you have amazing people like our friends right here, Ryan Faloona, Steve Orr, other people, Brent on the Newsdesk, who can help you and customize it. What we are looking at is we want to introduce new features like the options scanner and the options alerting system. But when we introduce those things, we have to charge more money because we need to make this so we can invest in the technology. And we kept this price very low, so it wouldn't be something that you're afraid to use. But if you have ideas on how we can price it better for you, say this thing is way more valuable than something you're using, and if we can figure out how to invest more money and build more stuff, feel free to tell us. We're here for you, loyal users, and the loyal users can help drive this platform forward. And that communication channel is important. We want to invest more and build more stuff. We also have to figure out how to, bring in the revenue to justify it. We're not a Bloomberg that's going to try to charge you $2,500 a month. I was just at an office last week who uses a Bloomberg terminal for a volatility scan. They can't find anyone else to do it. We took a video of this scan and we sent it to our developers. Our developers are working on it. It could be done in 6 weeks, 8 weeks. If we get this thing built the way he wants it, he'll end up saving, he'll save $50,000 in the next 2 years by using us. That's the kind of value we want to provide. And that $50,000 in savings could generate $500,000 in stock market gains. Imagine that. We can help you generate stock market gains by investing more in this platform. And we just have to figure out how we monetize it when we introduce a new feature. And those are the types of things. We're very open to feedback. At the end of the day, we look at feedback as gold, digital gold. We make a lot of mistakes, but we hope to get better tomorrow. And any feedback that you can provide would be really, really important to us. And feel free to use the chat to suggest stuff. But overall, I just wanted to give an intro and say thank you so much for being part of the community, for participating in chat. That's where some of the best ideas come from. Premarket.benzinga.com also has a great show, which we're going to try to integrate in Benzinga Pro very soon. This has been an incredible year of growth for us, incredible. And we feel like we're just getting started. We take a day one mentality here. So, we don't say, hey, this is the way it's been done. We're not going to make changes. We're going to make changes. And we just hope we can converse with you guys more often. Again, and Ryan put it in the chat already, my email is jason@benzinga.com, but if you prefer to send a text message, Just try to keep either bullet points or like, short sentences, text message. Please send it 248-766-0000. I promise to get back to you. Or if you're bored at night, like when I'm driving home, call and I'll listen to your feedback. This platform is for you. We have thousands and thousands of users, but we really like the loyal audience that is here and that could help propel the platform that you guys want, that makes your day better, that increases your profits and takes less time to find the thing you want to know when you want to know. When you tell us this, we will make it happen. Thank you, Ryan, for allowing me to chat with this Benzinga Pro community. Please tell your friends about our platform, and I look forward to chatting again soon. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Rez, and I appreciate you coming on and hearing it straight from the horse's mouth. Excuse the pun, but I just want to echo your sentiments. This platform, I started off as a customer of this platform, and the reason I kept this platform for a number of years is because it did what I want, and I saw the changes happening. And if any of you have any questions or any concerns or want anything in the platform, as Jason was saying, please let us know. If you don't want to use the feedback channel or you're too nervous to text him, go ahead and ask me through chat. You can send me an email. Joey, I see a question out there about an option scanner. Email me. Let's have the discussion, because as Jason said, we are always trying to meet customer demands. We don't have a product without you as the customers, so please let us know how we can make this better.
And I want to say one other thing. I think we do a great job at news and short tidbits and things like that. We are building more of some ideas into the system. So people may know that I trade stocks too. Tesla, I'm watching like the back of my hand, and I get access to a lot of companies and I get a lot of information. And what I was talking to Steve about is, like, we need a better way to share some of those ideas, like put our money on the line and let you know what. There's a company, HubSpot, that I'm very bullish on. I have been for a while, and I've written about it and been on the pre-market show. So we're working on a way to give you guys a little bit of a feed of that stuff that's in play, stuff that are potential trades for the day or weeks or trends. So one of the plays that I talked about a lot was Tesla was building a factory in China, and that it was supposed to take 2 years, but instead it went way faster than what it was supposed to be. And we had drone video that I kept getting sent to me from people in China. And I just kept saying that no one has that valued in the stock. Like Tesla has a bad investor battery day coming up, and no one has that valued in the stock. And those are things that we talk about. Now, it's not to say that we knew for sure the stock was going to go from 220 or 200 to 500 or 600 or 700. We don't necessarily know that timing on a long-term play like that, but there's opportunities in the market that you can uncover before someone else if you're willing to stick your neck out. And what we look at is probabilities. What's the probability of this to happen, and that's how I make my bets. I don't make bets other ways. And so there's a lot of ideas like that we're working to build a way that you guys can exchange these ideas and be connected with us. And if you're interested in that and more of our trading ideas, let us know too, because that's important, because we're at this all day, every day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So there's a lot of knowledge that we don't necessarily say, go buy this stock. That's not, we don't believe that is up to us to decide what you do in your portfolio. But if you want to see more about ideas and stuff, also let Ryan know, because that helps us dictate our future development and our content needs. We really want to grow this with you, and thank you. Appreciate your time.
And Raz, you'll be happy to know that Tesla stock is now over $620 a share.
Shut up.
I'm dead serious. They had a big beat today.
The earnings just came out?
Yeah.
Wow.
Congrats.
Wow.
And I think that's what you're trying to say, Raz, that we are very excited about bringing those ideas, right? Trying to show them how the platform works in a way that brings out those tidbits of knowledge and puts them into a trading aspect that they can create their own trading strategy. I mean, we all trade differently, right? And so in that aspect, we want to make sure that the news is in their hands, and we also want to make sure that, like you said, the volatility situation there at Bloomberg, we want to be able to take that and take that plank away from Bloomberg and create it better than even Bloomberg has.
Yep, and we can't do that without the community. So, Ryan, do you have a number they can call you at? That you should.
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach me at 313-723-2000, and I'll go ahead and drop that in the chat here.
And if you guys are watching this on replay, feel free to take the same advice. 2020 is going to be a record year for everyone. And, you know, I think we have Bert coming up next. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to head off. Steve Orr, thank you for that update on Tesla. That's kind of crazy. We talked about those call options last week. I hope you bought a bunch, Steve. I didn't. I didn't, Steve, but we did talk about it. But I don't know how to. I'm not. See, that's where the community comes in. I'm not an expert at buying options. I bought options in Tesla a year ago. They expired the January 600s. Well, those are over. So, you know, but it's all good. But at least I have the long stock. But those are things where the community comes in. You got someone like BigBeat who's way smarter in options than I will ever be. And so you guys listening right now, know that knowledge is power. And the only reason I'm in Tesla is because I got knowledge. Like I went in the car 5 years ago, and then I found that I found the best experts on the stock in the world, and I on the company, and I talked to those people. When people were leaving Tesla like crazy, like a lot of the management, they were leaving. So everyone's like, Tesla's going under. They're going to have to do a debt raise. Everyone thought that. I mean, literally, everyone. Stock is now quadruple times that. So forget the noise, ignore the noise, and use Benzinga Pro. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Raz.
And next up, we're going to have Bert here. This is a member of our lead design. Bert, take it away.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you very much for that intro, Jason. Yeah, hi, everybody. I'm Bert David. I run the product engineering side here. Really, I'm a builder for you guys. I've been here about 8 years building various parts of Benzinga, from a news business to pro to licensing. It's been a lot of fun on this journey so far, and we've got come a long way in a short period, and we've got a ton more to do. So, anywho, Jason mentioned how you know, you guys are really the owner of the product. We've been taking the feedback really serious, especially over the last couple of years. We've gathered, I know it's kind of a metric, but we have like gathered about 3,500 pieces of feedback into our system here, just to kind of track it all, see what people are asking us for. And we've done that again over the last 2 years. So you tell us what you want us to build. And, you know, we thank you very much for doing that and sharing your feedback. We want to make sure that you're successful, and that way we can be successful. Anyway, yeah, with Pro, we wanted to build something special here, and you know, without your help, we couldn't do that. So yeah, over Pro over the last year, you know, we've had, like I said, some great success, but it really starts with the team. I think you guys have met Andrew before. He does a lot on our marketing and product side, and then BigBeat. You know, we brought him onto the team. You've heard him on Squawk, manning chat, you know, ideas and webinars. He's been a great asset to the team. And then lastly, Ryan here, customer success. You know, he's really out there to make you guys as successful as we can, helping capture that feedback and getting any feedback. Excuse me 1 second.
And I just want to take it from there real quick. So my biggest goal every single day is to make sure that you as the user feel as if you're getting value out of your product. So if there's something that you don't know how to do, definitely reach out to me. You're not bothering me. That's why I'm here. And I want to be able to help anyone do whatever it is that they want. BigBeat and I try to make videos and webinars to address these as often as possible, but sometimes we can't read your mind. BigBeat has a really good ability to read a lot of people's minds and know things before they happen, it seems. But for the most part, we can't get inside of your head. So if there's something that you're looking for, if there's something that you're excited about, if there's something that you use at a different service that you're like, boy, I wish they had that at Benzinga, please let me know. Please talk to me. If you don't understand something, please ask me questions. I would be more than happy to help show you how to do it to the best of my ability. And if I don't know, guess who I'm going to ask? I'm going to go to BigBeat. I'm going to ask him, hey, you know, so-and-so needs help with this. Can we give him a hand? And he's never said no to any of that. So in all the time that I've been here, he's never said no to helping somebody. So please take advantage of us. That's what we're here for. Bert, I didn't mean to take you off the tracks there. Go ahead.
It's all right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Again, yeah, Ryan's been a huge help here for us. You know, glad, like I said, he's a pro member, and you know, he's really been a huge asset to the team because he knows what the trader wants, because he is a trader, which is really great. So next,
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you've been here now 8 years here at Benzinga. Tell me something that has surprised you as being the head developer for so many years. You've been a part of Pro for this long. Tell me something that has surprised you, maybe in the build of it, or something that you weren't sure was going to make it, and all of a sudden it's exploded.
Well, I think Benzinga as a whole, right? It's just surprising, when I first started the company, nobody knew who we were. We had to really push to get our name out there. Now you go and you're like, people recognize the name. It's pretty crazy. You can can go up to somebody and I can tell them, hey, I work at this place called Benzinga. Oh, I think I've seen that before. Is it financial news? Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Like just seeing the exposure we've had and the impact on people that we've had over the years, which is crazy. It's just crazy to me. I never thought I'd be something part of something like this, and it's been huge. And also like I think one of the really cool we started doing events maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. One of the best experiences was being able to go to this last trading summit that we threw back in June, and just meeting some of the Pro customers, seeing how they use the platform, showing some of the features that we're coming out with, and getting some feedback on it was hugely impactful. It was awesome. So maybe I'll see some of you guys at the trading summit this upcoming year too. So look forward to that. So. Does that answer some of your questions? Yeah, I think just the surprising success. We started and then nobody knew who we were. Now we got people asking us for news, license data, more stuff in our product. Like I said, couldn't do it without you. So.
All right, Bert. So we got that started. Tell me something about yourself that nobody knows about Bert on the platform. Give it, how we do it at Benzinga. A lot of people don't know that when we bring on a new person, we always ask them, tell us something we don't know about you. Bert, we always see you behind the computer. You're always the guy who's writing code and slinging it. And tell us something that maybe our users don't know about you.
Something our users don't know. Geez. Yeah, they don't let me out too often. So yes, I'm usually behind the screen, but I'm not generally in front of our customers. So that would be one thing. I'm a dad. I got a 23-month-old son. So I'm very excited about that. Life changing in great ways. And I'm the third, he's the fourth, which is also crazy, and I don't have a middle name. I think that was always my interesting fact around here. Anyway, I know it's not too interesting, but I like to code and spend time behind a computer.
Ryan, we seem like we have some questions coming through.
Yeah, so one of the questions here that David is asking is he's asking us if we can develop a mobile app. So David, you mentioned that our core competency is the desktop app. It's this web-based platform that you're interacting with on a regular basis. You're correct. We are absolutely planning to add a mobile app. So that's definitely coming. I'll let Bert talk a little bit more about the specifics and the timeline and all of that. But as a follow-up question to that, my follow-up question would be, if we were to be able to give you a mobile app, what are the most important features that you're looking for out of the app? What is it that is going to benefit you the most having on your mobile device? And if it's as simple as saying everything that's in the desktop platform, totally fine. But if you have things that are very specific that you're looking for, please let us know. Bert, I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that. Is there any update that we can give them on the development of a mobile app, or the plan anyway?
Well, I'll lay out what we kind of did the past year and in Q1. I will say that while mobile is definitely on our roadmap, where it fits into the timeline is probably not going to be sooner than later. We've got some really exciting new features that we're kind of working on, and then we'll dive deep into mobile here. We know it's a huge thing for our customers to. We want to get to where you're going. In order, I think, for us to get there, there's some fundamental things that we're working on right now, and then we're just going to deep dive into it. But yeah, as Ryan said, I think what's most important for us, do you need the kitchen sink in order to make your mobile experience great? Or is it a certain tool? Do you need to be able to check your portfolio and all the news around it? Do you just want to see all the top movers in the market? Whatever it might be, let us know what your number one priority for mobile would be, so that we can plan accordingly. Since we can't do everything at once, we want to prioritize accordingly. So getting your feedback is really important here in terms of laying out that roadmap. So there we are.
All right, and just as sorry to cut you off there, Steve. Just as a follow up there, David said that what would be most useful is news and a watch list, and the ability to have general market news like filtering on SPY. So, David, I would say that that's definitely something that we would plan right from the beginning. With news being at the heart of what our organization is about, I would imagine that we would absolutely start with a customizable news feed, and a watch list seems to go hand in hand with that. So, really appreciate that, Steve. Again, sorry for cutting you off. Go ahead.
I was going to say, should we tell our users to start calling Raz right now and requesting mobile right now? Blow his phone up,
Go ahead and text him. Yeah,
just text. That's great. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
We still have some more questions coming in, Ryan.
Yeah, so one of the other questions here is squawk on the mobile app in terms when we were asking about what is it that you're looking for. So a couple of things there. Number one, you can actually load Pro on your mobile device right now. There's no app for it. You would have to do it through your web browser, but you can do that. And we've actually tested Squawk, and it works fairly well on the mobile. So if you're really in a pinch, you can do that now. But as Bert mentioned, we are looking at coming up with a more streamlined, special way of packaging that in an app form. So
it definitely has to be easier to use for you, but you can access it. It does technically work on mobile. Yeah, so if you're in a pinch and you need to load it up, you can do that. So
there's a question coming in, Ryan, from Larry, is asking if you want to write an article for Trade with World magazine.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a great idea. I would be more than happy to help you out. The only caveat there is I charge by the word, and I normally do $5 a word. So if you do want that at 1,500 to 2,000 words, I'd be happy to take you up on that. I'll give you my PayPal. We can work out all the arrangements for that.
I take crypto, don't worry. Yeah.
All jokes aside, I would be happy to discuss how I trade and what I trade. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of really good laws that are in place where we can't necessarily cross those lines. However, I would be more than happy to tell you what it is that I did, and perhaps more importantly, some of the hard lessons that I learned along the way. Steve will even tell you, every day I'm in Steve's ear. Every day I'm asking him questions, to the point where sometimes he's got to ghost me because he's got a job to do too. And the thing is one of the things that I prided myself on is I always said, there's never a point where I want to stop learning. Never. Just like Jason was saying, we always want to hear what it is that you're saying. As someone that's involved in the market all the time, all I want to do is learn. If I make a bad trade, that's okay, as long as I learn my lesson from that. And I think having, data points, news, and tools that are beneficial really help you to learn those lessons, and then perhaps most importantly, not repeat those lessons going forward. So we have another question here. Speaking of help, I'd like to see some sort of template that describes a best practice workflow. Surely there's a best way to use the platform. All right, Joey, that's a really great question. That's actually something that I'm working on right now, and one of the reasons why I have such a high rate for writing articles is because I actually have a lot of other stuff on my plate here. One of the things that I'm developing is an education course that's going to show you how to use Pro, and it's going to be a little bit more in-depth and a little bit different from the traditional videos that BigBeat and I do, which are more centered around specific things in the market. The education course should be available very soon. I would hope that I would hope that a lot of people are interested in it, and I would hope that you find it valuable. I put a lot of time into this, so I'm very hopeful. I'm really can't wait to release this. And as always, just like on the regular product, I would absolutely love feedback on that. So I would be happy to do that. Joey, let me grab your email address, and I will follow up with you as soon as that is available.
And Ryan, you said a good point out there that whenever a client needs something or address something, that you and I will do a video on it. So if anybody out there wants us to do a video on something, let us know. We're more than happy to do that.
All right. And so I actually opened up another question list here. So I'm just going to run through these real quick here. So Tony was saying watch list development with price alerts on the phone. So I'll let Bert talk on that as well. Price alerts are definitely something that we're looking to overhaul. Of course, I don't have any type of time frame for you, but when it comes to alerts, one of the things that we've discovered is that a lot of people are looking for different type of alerts. So when you have a request or when you have a thought about something that you need that's alert based, please let me know, and please be as specific as possible. Even if you are very specific, the chances are if you're looking for that, somebody else is looking for that. And the only way that we're going to be able to develop a product that helps everybody is if we get this feedback from our users. So I would imagine that price alerts are going to be coming this year. I don't want to put Bert on the spot. I'll let him field that, but definitely that's coming. Now, Tony also said he wants better charts. Well, I have really good news for you there. The real-time charting is, in fact, incredibly special. I've been testing it. I've been looking at it. I'm very, very excited. I'm guilty of saying that this is going to be out in a matter of weeks, several months ago. Please do not take that towards the development team. That was completely my error. And I won't make that mistake again. I was just really, really excited. So better charts are absolutely coming with expanded capability. Bert, do you want to take over from there?
Yeah, I will. I'm going to go back and say, go over a couple things in our year review. Obviously, we talked about Squawk. So one of the things that we had to do over time was upgrade the Squawk system. So, we have been around a little while, and we've got some systems that are older, and we wanted to get on newer technology, which is why the Squawk system at least now works on your mobile phone. So like we built a system that kind of works everywhere. But we've also run into some pain points. We've had tremendous growth, again, thanks to the support from our customers, and we're hitting some pain points due to that growth, as you may have seen over the course of the last 3-6 months or so. But we put a lot of effort into making Pro as reliable as possible. We've still got some more work to do. I know we had an issue with Squawk the other day, just being honest. And we gotta turn around, and we gotta fix that. We don't want that to happen for you guys at all. It affects your trading, affects the ability to make money, and we know that's an issue. So one of our core focuses from last year was reliability, and going into this year too. And Q1 is a big focus for us is reliability. We finished the Signals project last year. We onboarded options both in the Signals tool as well as unusual options calendar. So that's if you haven't seen it yet, coming around. Making some improvements to it, but we have an unusual options calendar in here. We added some additional filters to movers. There's a screener now, and one of the huge pain points of all our users is the layout. It used to be an awful experience. Every time I would load up Pro, I'd have to go configure every window. It just wouldn't work. It was a really bad experience. So we brought layout saving into the platform, so it was reliable. Hey, you could also save stops so that you can go back and if you had a layout that you really liked, you spent a lot of time building, you don't want to have to build that every time. You don't want to accidentally lose it and come back. You don't want to switch machines and then have to spend all that time again configuring your layout. So that was a huge thing that we did for this past year. I think we solved a lot of problems and made some people happy there. Going into Q1, as Ryan mentioned, charting. While we've been focusing on some of the reliability improvements, and we're still doing that, we have been working on some real-time charting. We have been working on pre and post-market, getting the data in the charts. So we've got some exciting things coming out there. And again, these are all things that we're exploring. I'm not going to promise. Developers make me not promise the release date for these things, but we're getting ready to release some of these things. And we're also exploring new opportunities here. One of the other things that customers have asked for, trading integration. So we are working with some brokerages to be able to get trading in. Not so much for the trades, right? You can do that in here, so it's a convenience thing. But being able to sync your watch list, your portfolios, your holdings, and knowing what's going on in the market around what you're already trading is a huge thing for a lot of our users. So we get that all the time. We've got some awesome things coming to the chat world. We get so many comments about, how do I do things in chat, or at somebody, or add images or charts or whatever it might be. We want to improve that experience to give you a better community and just a better overall experience there. And then newsfeed, our bread and butter, our core, right? That's what we're here for, is our newsfeed. Some of our top right up there with getting mobile apps or Squawk on mobile or whatever it might. It's right up here. Can I search newsfeed by price? Can I search newsfeed by volume, market cap, or float? I'm not going to promise anything, but we got some really exciting things coming in the pipeline for that.
So, Bert, also tell us a little bit about when you're in the development stage. Tell us what a sprint is.
Oh, okay. So the way there are various methods for development. One involves like a Scrum sprint system, basically a time period that is, you define up front. It can be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it might be. We generally work on what's called a 2-week cycle. So we do a little planning up front. We lay out the priorities for what's going to go on the sprint. And then our goal is to get everything done that we said we were going to get done in that time period, so that we can have some work or some time dedicated for planning, and then some time dedicated for building. So that is kind of what a sprint is when we say sprint.
Very good. All right.
All right,
I think I see Brent back there behind you.
Before we get to Brent, let me jump in here real quick. I see that Art
Right.
is asking a question. Art, one of our loyal users, is around every single day, has been supporting us for a long time now. Really appreciate your participation and your support, Art. You're asking me to limit the stocks where there is news supporting the price change and save traders for searching through the news for stocks with little trade value / support. So it's interesting that you mentioned this today, because just earlier today, I had one of our customers reach out to me and say, Ryan, how can I find stocks that are trading higher with no connected news to it? And what he was referring to is occasionally we released this new product called a WIM, which is a why is it moving? And it's a 1 to 2 sentence synopsis on why a stock is having the price action that it's having. And some of our WIMs will say something like stock XYZ is trading higher, no specific news to justify the price action today. And the gentleman today actually was asking me, how do I find a list of all of these stocks? And that's not a question that I had been asked before. And I actually wasn't sure off the top of my head how to do this. So I played around with it for a little bit, and I came up with a way where he can see this. And it turns out that one of the things that he's looking for is he's trying to plot a mean reversion trade. He's trying to find out different stocks that have had a tremendous run that may not have any type of breaking or fundamental news associated with it, because that stock may have a mean reversion. And what's interesting about this is that that's not something that I would have ever really thought about on my own. But the more and more I was discussing it with this gentleman, the more and more it made sense. And the reason that I'm mentioning that is because I'm illustrating the point that although you would like to see it so that there's a way to where we omit all of those, we actually have a customer, and probably more than one, that uses that data, that finds that data to be very, very valuable. And that's one of the hurdles that we run into here as a team, is that we're always trying to produce the best. As Stephen and Bert both said, we're trying to give you something that's special. We're trying to give you something that's better than the competition. And it's not easy to please everybody. And as Stephen mentioned, everyone trades differently. Everyone is a little bit different. So we will try to hit as many requests as we can. And if there's anything that we can do to help your specific case, so Art, if you want some help filtering those out, let me know and we'll try to come up with something for you. But again, there's no way that we can predict everything, and everybody seems to want something a little bit different. So Brent, I'm sorry for interrupting there. Welcome.
No way.
No way. Exactly.
No,
How you doing today?
That was great,
All
right? For sure.
Well, yeah, thanks everybody. It was my pleasure.
Good
And,
job, Bert. Here you go. Thank you, sir. Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Seems like it's been going really good so far.
I'd say so.
Nice. Yeah, I saw the question come in a little bit earlier that was like, there's got to be a best way to use the platform. And, to what you were just saying, Ryan, there's a lot of best ways to use the platform, because the reality is there's a million different trading strategies, a million different investing strategies out there, and we're not going to know that. So work with us on it. Work with Ryan, work with BigBeat, work with myself. Tell us a little bit about your strategy. We can make some ideas to really tailor what you're doing. So again, kind of, just speaking to, I think the
the important personalities that are at Benzinga, and we really want to work with all the users and getting this really awesome product going. So where am I at? BigBeat. What would you like to hear from the Newsdesk side of things?
I want to know about you, man. I want to know about the Newsdesk and what's going on there.
Awesome. So I've been doing this kind of news that you see on Benzinga Pro for 12 or 13 years now. Started back in 2007. It's been quite some time. Seen a ton of news in that span. Obviously seen a lot of changes for the Newsdesk and Benzinga as a whole. But for the Newsdesk, I mean, the main thing that we're doing throughout the day is a couple ways I usually think about it. We're aggregating, and in that aggregation, we're curating a feed. And so we're aggregating from things like a press release or an SEC filing. Press releases and SEC filing are the top two ways that we publish headlines to Benzinga Pro. I'd say a majority of our headlines that you see every day either came out from a press release or an SEC filing. And so what the Newsdesk team does a really good job at is we know the press releases that are important. And when you click into one of those press releases, we know where to get the important information. Same thing with an SEC filing. And so what I mean by, curation is myself, a lot of the other team members on the Newsdesk, we're looking at a ton of news services each day. We're looking at press releases, SEC filings, as I said. We're looking at Reuters, we're looking at Bloomberg, we're looking at Dow Jones. And those publications, and same thing with the press release feed, there's a lot of noise in there. There's a lot of information that somebody, a regular investor doesn't need to see. And we can detect that really quickly, make a quick decision about whether we think this is going to move a stock or not, whether it's material for a company, and get out a headline in the most effective format. And, in addition to that aggregation and curation, we're starting to get more into our own exclusive content, right? That's content where you have to go to Benzinga Pro. You have to go on benzinga.com to read the article in order to get that information. And it's something that we focused on a little bit in the past, and moving into 2020, we're going to start doing a little bit more of it. And again, you have to come to Benzinga Pro to get that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the cool part about the Newsdesk, Brent, is that a lot of people don't realize that we also have reporters as well as you said, aggregating the news, and having our own reporters also helps us to create maybe a different angle that we saw on a news angle that maybe they didn't see, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and I jotted down a couple examples, and whoever's running the show, maybe we can do a little quick screen share, and we can actually take a look at Benzinga Pro. I don't know if that's a possibility, but yeah, with the thing that's been dominating trading in the markets the last few days has been the coronavirus thing. And I hinted at, I look at a lot of other news services, and Benzinga Pro was one of the very first sources that highlighted a lot of these stocks that are related to coronavirus in one way or another, indirectly or directly, pretty early on. And we can kind of get into these like these types of stocks that are reacting. Obviously, the vaccine names and the pharma names that are working on treatments for coronavirus, they're going to definitely be sensitive. There's makers of apparel, a mask or whatever. Those stocks are going to be moving too. BigBeat, you were highlighting one about the casinos, and you said, Chinese people are huge gamblers. The average gambler in China, in Macau, spends 6 to 7 more times than the average gambler in Vegas. And so you said, well, where's the place where a lot of people are gathering and they're probably not going to want to gather anymore? And you were like, casinos. Casinos is a really big one. And so, the leading casino provider over there, Melco, ticker MLCO, that was one that started reacting almost right away. We saw, a headline today from Royal Caribbean that said, we're concerned about this, and we're gonna suspend trips to China area. Yep. And so, there's the side of things where these stocks are reacting positively and these stocks are reacting negatively in a way.
And Brent, let me just jump in here real
quick.
Sure. Along those lines, actually, just seeing a news post coming across now,
okay.
Delta Airlines is cutting their weekly flights to China now. So you're exactly right. That's a great example. two things. Number one, I would be happy to demonstrate something in Pro. I would be happy to screen share here and demonstrate something in
Cool.
Pro. But we do have a question here from one of the viewers here, Larry, asking, could your news stories have a 1 to 5 star rating as to its importance?
That's pretty good. That's not a bad idea. So I'm trying to understand here, Larry. So it'd be like, a 5 would be very important, or a 1 would be very important, and then just kind of going down from there.
Yeah,
That's
and
probably
it's
something we could do. Yeah.
it seems to me like this is almost like our sentiment indicator, which has a bearish and a bullish connotation based on what the post is.
Yep.
I guess it seems similar to that. Larry, do you have any more insight? Do you use the sentiment indicator at all? Is that something that we should build off of?
And so, like, I think that, Ryan, I think that, so like the way that we use the sentiment, what Ryan was just describing, will give a 1 to 3 indication of how bullish or bearish we could expect this news item to be based on some past historical stuff. Hey, the last time this happened, this stock got killed or whatever. But, that scale is plus and minus, and that doesn't necessarily have to be on the same level as like importance. For example, Boeing, 737 MAX ramp is expected to be sooner than expected. That might be very important, and it might be bullish. The opposite headline would be the ramp to get that thing back in production is going to be delayed, and that could be a bearish news item and still be really important, right? And so we could potentially have something like this that's kind of working in tandem. Yeah, I don't think that's crazy. And like, one thing that I was really excited to get on this webinar for and talk to the users a little bit and talk with, BigBeat and Ryan, is to get some feedback on our content. I can go into, the process that the Newsdesk has and everything, but I'm really excited to learn and ask the users directly, is there pieces of content, headlines, articles that you guys and gals really love and couldn't live without? And can you do more of those? Is there headlines that you think could be in a better format? And, maybe here's a suggestion on what that format could look like. You guys, I'm sure, have gotten this feel the whole presentation here, but we absolutely love the feedback. And if you guys or gals are giving me feedback about things we can do with the content, I'm definitely going to consider those. Definitely going to take them to the rest of the Newsdesk editorial team and say, okay, here was some really good feedback that we got from the users.
And just like Raz, he gave out his email address, Brent. Can you give out the Newsdesk email for them?
Yeah, sure. So we have like an alias that you can get a hold of everybody on the Newsdesk. It's newsdesk@benzinga.com, NEWSDESK@benzinga.com. And if you want to just give me a shout, my email is brent@benzinga.com, BRENT.
All right, Brent, I posted both of those email addresses in the chat so the users have that.
Cool, gotcha.
And another question here. So two questions that I think are both very good here. A, can we filter on sentiment indicator? I'm actually not sure where this is in the development pipeline, but I know for a fact I've got multiple requests to do that. Based on how the sentiment indicator works, I would surmise that is possible. David, let me go ahead and add your name to that existing feedback ticket. That's not available yet. I certainly don't have a timeline for you, but that is something that we were actually already discussing. And then Tom is asking, maybe you could make a like vote button and the users could all click valuable news articles to alert others to take a look.
That's a cool idea.
That's actually a really good idea for two reasons. Number one, I really like the ability to have a user interaction with some of the news stories. But number two, that actually may help Brent in terms of feedback. I mean, if there is a particular news story that's getting a ton of likes, measurably more than the next one, then that may be something where we should try to replicate that process or duplicate that process. So
I mean, maybe there's the importance right there. Do we let the users kind of determine the importance / popularity? Maybe we leave that up to the Newsdesk, but really, a couple interesting ideas there. That was from Tom.
Yeah. So Tom, would you think of that more like a Reddit situation where you're upvoting something?
Upvoting versus downvoting. That's a good point. And while we're waiting for Tom to answer that question, I did want to address a couple more things here that were outstanding. That'll just be real quick. Again, Tony is asking for aftermarket and pre-market hours, data, and news. Our newsfeed, of course, does run in the pre-market and the post-market. And when we release the new chart, it will allow you to chart in the pre-market and in the aftermarket. So look out for that. Live volume and relative volume levels. This is actually something that I've been trying to get on. I would love to be able to add relative volume into more of the platform. It is in some different areas of that, but again, when it comes to relative volume, let me know exactly how you want to use that so I can figure out the way to best implement that. Steve, just to double back to your question, Tom has given us an answer. He said, that would be great. I was more thinking a thumbs up or thumbs down type counter. So he is looking for an up vote, down vote, but it's more of like a thumbs up, thumbs down, and that would be visible to not only the staff, but other users as well.
Great.
And then another quick question here. Any plans to develop a desktop-based app versus browser-based, as most browser-based are lousy? Well, I sure hope you don't think our browser-based platform is lousy. One of the reasons that we had browser-based to begin with is that we did not want to exclude the Mac or the PC community. And we figured that by releasing it as a browser-based software, it would just be accessible across all different platforms. The platform does run very well in Safari, and it's also optimized for Google Chrome. So for the most part, we're able to take care of both Mac and PC users. Desktop app is something that's been requested. I've actually spoken to Bert about this in private off of camera, and it is something that we would like to do. It's not is high on the priority list at the moment. So, but that is definitely something that we're taking a look at. So Jazz, if you could drop your email here, I will go ahead and add that feedback to the existing ticket as it is. And Andy, of course, wants to let everyone know Tesla is now breaking resistance.
That's good. That's good. So like, Ryan, did you want to take a look at a couple news items in Pro? I don't know if you guys went over this already in the webinar or anything, but
yeah, I'd be happy to. So I went ahead and shared the screen of Pro.
Cool.
Brent, if you don't mind, kind of direct me as to what you want to see here.
So to what Andy was just saying there, I would just so go over to your news feed, Ryan, and just pull up the ticker for Tesla. And this is some reporting that the Newsdesk just did. Obviously, we just had our Tesla results come out. So yeah, you just type in Tesla there, click the ticker, and this is the kind of reporting that you're going to get here for when we have a big earnings report like Tesla. Apple looked the same yesterday, or similar. So you're going to get a lot of these headlines where it's describing earnings per share and sales. In the case of Tesla, they have another very, very important metrics. That's their deliveries. And so you can see Q4 deliveries looks like just over 112,000. Maybe a bigger headline, and this is the case with earnings a lot of times, is those guidance figures. And so you can see that one that Ryan is mousing over right now. It says Tesla sees fiscal year 20 vehicle deliveries comfortably exceeding 500,000 units. And me, I was one of the ones that was typing out a lot of these headlines. I dug through the Tesla press release really quick, and that headline for the fiscal year 20 vehicle deliveries, that was one when I was reading the press release, I was like, oh, this is probably going to be a good news. And if they're saying comfortably exceeding 500,000 units, it probably indicates that they gave this target of 500,000 previously, and now they're sort of saying, okay, we're feeling more confident that we can definitely cross that. And the advantage that I see in this kind of reporting is, we do an article for Benzinga.com for our non-premium users, and that's like, sentences and paragraphs. But this is a really, newswire way where it's just like, bam, headline, bam, headline, bam, headline. And if you're watching this in real time and all these are streaming in, you can pretty much read each of these at once and then like go to the next one. And so again, this is an advantage of, tune in to a newswire. This is an advantage that I think Benzinga Pro gives in making content consumption a lot easier.
Absolutely. And just to piggyback off that, Brent, I know you're talking about posting color and different things from the earnings report as it comes out. Steve and I actually just did a webinar with one of our analyst people, Andrew, who does almost the exact same thing for analyst ratings.
Yep.
So as we get new analyst reports, Andrew is essentially doing what Brent is doing, but keeping it to the different analyst reports. He's going through them and he's picking out the big things that are really important, that may be market moving. And now we actually have a way to filter that, right? So you can actually filter by analyst ratings, and then you can even filter on some of the subcategories. So in terms of seeing that stuff as it breaks, I think this is a really good example. I know Tesla earnings are always heavily anticipated. Brent, you did the exact same thing for Apple yesterday, which I was anticipating as an Apple stockholder. So yeah, this is a really, really good tip. Really appreciate that.
Cool. So let me a BigBeat. What were you gonna say there?
I would look for Tesla to shake out a bit tomorrow after the open. Maybe some profit taking. Maybe see some people maybe a little too bullish on it because of the China issue with the coronavirus.
Ryan, so I got a couple more. I had jotted down a couple more tickers that I was hoping we could take a look at.
Let's do it.
And cool. So do a ticker TEAM, TEAM. Like we're a great team here. So that's Atlassian. And so what I wanted to find here for you, Ryan, is
and just for clarity, I've got, as far as sources, I've got signals and wires turned on right now.
So Ryan, will you go to your category? And what I wanted to show here is some of that exclusive reporting that the Benzinga reporters are doing. So go to that top one and hit the exclusives one, and then hit the done. And you kind of touched on this one a little bit earlier, Ryan, when you were talking about why is it moving entry. And the last thing I'll show you after we look at this one is like an actual whim, and I'll sort of quickly go into the process of how we're actually doing this. So you read this top headline from January 9th. It says Atlassian shares are up 3%. We saw the price action on the Newsdesk. We looked around. We spent, how many ever minutes looking around at our sources, and we couldn't find news on Atlassian. And so we said, okay, well, like you kind of hinted at, sometimes we'll just put out a headline that says like stock's moving. We don't know why. That can be a good reason. What happened with this one is we looked around at Atlassian, couldn't find anything, reached out to a couple sources. The thing that we kind of say on the news desk is like, we know the news pretty well. We know how to put out the news. I don't know all of these stocks, these thousands of stocks that we cover each day extremely well. Some of them we know pretty well. Some of them we don't know at all. But if we don't know about a stock or a company, we can probably find somebody who is an expert. And that was the case here. Again, we reached out to Atlassian. We looked around on Atlassian, couldn't find anything. We reached out to a respected Atlassian analyst that's covering software over at Needham, Jack Andrews. And we reached out to Jack and we said, hey, do you know what's going on with Atlassian today? It's up about 3%. We don't see news. And what Jack came back with us was kind of just like confirmation of what we were saying. He said, I don't think there's anything unusual going on. And he pointed us to a lot of strength in other software stocks. And so why this is valuable is, a user might reach out to me and go, hey, Brent, what's going on with Atlassian today? I got a lot of stock. I don't see what's happening. And if we can reassure them that there is no news, at least they know they're not up against some major fundamental change in the company's operations that certainly would move the stock. It happens every day that a stock moves on technicals or momentum or increased volume when there is no fundamental news. And so when we can get users a response like this, hey, nothing unusual looks like it's going on, everything looks okay, it's just from trading, it can be quite a big relief for those users. And again, this is that exclusive reporting that we're doing. Nobody else out there, had a headline reassuring that there wasn't anything going on with Atlassian, anything funky going on with Atlassian this day. So again, something that you have to go to Benzinga Pro to get.
That's pretty awesome. What a great example of that. Brent, did you say that you wanted me to do another ticket? You wanted me to demonstrate a ticker that had whims?
Yeah, let's just take a look at a little whim here. I jotted down a couple. Let's see. How about APT, Ryan? And that is one of the apparel. It's Alpha Papa Tango, Alpha Pro Tech. And so the way that you can identify a whim pretty quickly is we have different styling for the whim headlines. They're not going to be all capitalized. They're going to be in like a lowercase, more like you're like reading a headline. And so let's see, Ryan, can you filter your news feed further to just show us the whims? That can be a quick way we can probably get to the whim for this one.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Here you go.
Cool. So here you go. So January 21st, it says shares of protective apparel companies, Lakeland Industries, Alpha Protect trading higher following the outbreak of Wuhan coronavirus in China. And again, that was last Tuesday, about a week ago. And if we look at the chart in Alpha Protect, you can see that there's been a ton of price action in that name since then.
And so here you go, Brent. I went ahead and pulled that up, and absolutely you can see that. In fact, this candle, this enormous green candle that took us from 350 as high as 524, happened on the very same day that you released that whim.
Absolutely. And this, again, this is the format that you'll see the whim in here. Sometimes we'll do a why is it moving entry on an individual stock. Sometimes, a lot of times, news items are impacting entire markets or entire regions. And so what we call this on the whim team here is a sector wide. And so this is, again, when a macro news item is moving, more than a couple stocks. And just to give you a little bit of insight into how the team is going about producing this product for why is it moving, the movers tool on Benzinga Pro is absolutely our first step. We click open that movers tool and we watch that thing every minute throughout the day. And if a new stock pops on there, we right away go try to hunt down why it's moving. And
now,
if we didn't have this tool, it's happened, if you a user out there for Benzinga Pro, this goes down. It's happened to gone down a couple times before. And that one day when it happened for us, we were like, what should we do? We got to go with this kind of crappy solution, this crappy backup that we have. And it was kind of a big hurdle for the team to get over that. Thankfully, the movers tool has been acting just fine, for the last little while here. So we haven't had anything like that. Don't expect to, but yeah, the movers tool is absolutely one of my favorite tools that we have on Benzinga Pro.
Mine as well, Brent. And while I'm here, are there any settings that you want to share that help you at the news desk do that we could also share to the users?
Sure, yeah. So personally, I like to use two movers tools and I'll pop them out. I don't actually have them living in my Benzinga Pro platform. And why I have two is because right now, Ryan, you're filtered on gainers and losers, and that's good. You can see all the gainers, you can see all the losers. But then I'm sort of limited to the number of gainers and losers. If you do gainers in one and losers in the other, you're always going to get the, whatever you got here, 15 or so gainers and losers for each of them. So that's one tip I could give you. Definitely have to adjust the session to pre-market, regular, and after hours accordingly. And then here's a really cool one that I like to do. So when I get caught up in my morning on all the stocks are moving, and I have a good feel for why a lot of the stocks are moving since the open, and I'm clicked into the period as session the same way that you are here, what I try to do is change it to 30-minute intervals and then get caught up on all of those movers. Do any of these movers look out of the ordinary? And it really helps me identify those pretty quickly. And then after I get caught up on all the movers over the last 30 minutes, I switch it to 15 minutes and I start trying to get caught up on why these stocks have been moving over the last 15 minutes. And after you've gotten caught up on your session since the open, after you've gotten caught up on the last 30 minutes, last 15 minutes, then you can just use that movers tool throughout the day in real time. You can just, something new popped onto my movers here. I wonder if it's something related to a news item or a rumor or a technical, whatever it is.
That's a really great tip. That's actually not something that I've done before, and I use this tool every day. So just goes to show you, everyone's a little bit different, and you should never stop learning. You can always pick things up here. I really like the idea of splitting gainers and losers. For me, when I'm looking at the list with both of them, I often get distracted because some are down and some are up. Splitting them out, very, very helpful for trying to identify what's moving and why.
Of course, it takes up a little bit more real estate on your screen, but I think it's a pretty good trade-off. And then use that freeze button too that's down at the bottom. Right now, it'll refresh every 1 minute. If you are looking at that thing for longer, if you're looking at the tool for longer than a minute and stuff's kind of switching around and you're kind of losing your place, that's good that it's in real time so that it can do that. But you can hit that little freeze button and then it'll lock it in place and you can kind of go down your list and try to identify if you want to make a trade in something.
Yeah, really, really good tip. I want to double back here and ask one more outstanding question. Brent, I'll keep this movers tab up in case we need to reference this again.
Cool.
Let me go ahead and remove this whim category here. Mark was asking, this may be on the newsfeed already, but sometimes when reading the newsfeed, I'm not sure whether the info is bullish or bearish information. Is there a way to tell? Well, this kind of piggybacks onto what we were discussing earlier when it comes to the sentiment indicator. The sentiment indicator is not something that's applied to every news post, but it is applied to select news posts. And you can see right here that we've got one. So for the stock that Brent asked me to filter on, APT, we had a post from earlier today that says China state media says China's President Xi says preventing and containing the virus remains severe and complex task. And we gave this a sentiment of 1 down. So Brent, can you explain this? Can you explain a couple of things? A, the process. B,
Sure.
why you don't see it on every news post, and C, what does it mean for this specific news post?
Gotcha. Okay, I'll try to remember A, B, and C.
I'll help you.
Okay, so if the Chinese president Xi is giving some kind of indication that the prevention and the containing of this virus is severe and complex, like, if you ask me, that's sort of a pessimistic assumption, I think, right? He's sort of going like, okay, well, we're going to have to deal with this and it's going to take a while and potentially it's going to be pretty complicated. So it could be something that would potentially be a concern for, people out there that are looking to trade this one. What was number B? Letter B?
B was the process. How do you actually assign these?
So what the news team does is we have a little tool on our back end where we post this stuff that just lets us mark a 0 or a -1 or a -2 or a 2 or a 3. And as I kind of hinted at before, this is based off of a historical track record. So in the past, as a random example, in the past, maybe when we've got an indication about some kind of outbreak, maybe it's been, negative for Alpha Pro Tech. And so it is subjective right now, and we're considering some things that might make it less subjective and a little bit more objective. But as of right now, one of the reporters on the team will make a call based on some historical context that we have. If there's, a chance that we think this could be different than historical context dictates, then maybe we can go ahead and make that change if we want to.
And then
the C was,
why aren't they on everyone?
Great question. So while we want to limit a lot of the headlines that are going into Benzinga Pro to be what we call material information, meaning it could impact the stock or a company's financials, not everything that we're going to post is going to be bullish or bearish, right? It could be a piece of news that you need to know about, but maybe it's not going to be good or bad for a market. And so that's one instance. The other instance is if we just don't know. We want to be honest about this stuff. And as I was kind of hinting at earlier, we're not experts on all the stocks. And so if that's the case, we'll just err on the side of being careful, and we won't list a sentiment. But yeah, the emergency food supply company said to be running out of inventory due to coronavirus. That seems kind of concerning. But the reporter that posted this said, okay, this is sort of just another update in the process. We don't necessarily think that this is going to be negative right now for a stock. A good example of a piece of news that usually will impact the stock right away is guidance with these earnings reports, especially if the company is raising or cutting their guidance. That's something that the reporters on the team can be pretty definitive that if we see that Tesla raised their guidance, I'm just making this up, that I don't think that happened. If Tesla raised their guidance, we would right away go okay, this is probably going to be good for investors out there, and we'd give it a +2 or whatever it is.
All right, and so great point. What I was doing here while you were saying that was I went and filtered by guidance to kind of give an example of some of these here. And this is really good because you can actually see a difference. There are several different ones here. One of the last things that I wanted to sum up, I'm glad that you touched on this. when
Yeah.
it comes to the sentiment indicator, it seems to me like what we're going for is quality over quantity. So
Absolutely.
sure, there might be a way to slap one of these carrots on every single news post, but two things. Number one, the quality of that news story might not be as material as Brent was just saying.
Mhm.
And number two, it might start to blend into one another. Right now, because they're not on everything, they kind of stand out, and it makes it easier to spot, or makes it easier to note that, hey, there's something more important about this particular post.
There you go. There you go. And let me give a couple quick examples here. So like that headline at 329 CACI, they raised their guidance. That's clearly going to be probably beneficial to investors out there. Let's look at one like Align Technology. That's at 355. It's ticker ALGN. It was up at the top there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I took
okay.
the filter off.
No
There
problem.
you go.
There you go. So like, look, they didn't raise guidance. They didn't lower guidance here. That's kind of the easy case. But what we look at here is they're expecting Q1 earnings in the range of 119 to 128. And the analysts that are valuing this company and this stock, they're expecting actually 144 in Q1 earnings. So although they didn't raise or lower their guidance, the estimate came in toward what's going to be the lower end of the analyst consensus range. And then, Ryan, one more, if you don't mind, go back, remove your ALGN ticker there. And then there was one, it was, what was the one did you have a filter on before, Ryan?
Yeah, I sure did. Let me just put that same filter back
put
on.
that
I
filter
actually
back.
had the news guidance
I think you
filter.
had guidance on it. Yep, exactly. So I wanted to just show, so like, let's take a look at Hologic. It's ticker HOLX, and I'm leaning over to look at the TV here, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering why I was sitting all funny. So look at what happened here with Hologic. So they, and this will show you how a different part of a news item can impact the stock differently, right? So they gave their fiscal year 20 guidance, and they actually cut their sales guidance. That's going to be likely negative for the stock. But they raised their adjusted earnings per share guidance for fiscal year 20. And so you're kind of going, okay, well, how can, the same sort of news item have a different impact? Well, one part can be positive and one part can be negative. It's kind of as simple as that, I think. Does that make sense, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great example. I really appreciate it. So
Yeah, for sure.
did we hit everything that you wanted to hit here, Brent?
Yeah, I think so. I want to thank you guys for having me on. And again, ask the users and the listeners out there that if you have ideas about how we can make some of this information that we're looking at in the newsfeed easier to consume, if we can have some more robust information for you. If there's a new type of headline you want out there, I am all ears. Please give me an email, brent@benzinga.com, or you can hit up the Newsdesk, newsdesk@benzinga.com.
Absolutely. And thanks very much. So, Steve, I just want to turn over the closing remarks to you. We've kind of been neglecting you for a little bit here. I'm sorry about that. Is there anything else that you would like to say or discuss before we sign off for the evening?
I have a couple of things, Ron, that I want to talk about. And the first thing I want to talk about is the chat room, obviously. It is, I'm not kidding you, it has exploded over the last year and a half. A year and a half ago, we were desperate, and now look at this, man. It's exciting. And we're going into an election year. So it might get a little more heated in that chat room, right? And so I kind of just want to remind everybody a couple of things. Number one, I have a background in political science, public administration as well, and I differentiate politics from government. And what I mean by that is when a candidate says something, that's politics, right? When Bernie Sanders says something negative about Donald Trump, vice versa, Trump says something negative about Hillary, that's politics, right? But when an elected official starts to talk about it in an elected official capacity, for me and for Brent, that's fair game, right, Brent?
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone speaks like today when the Fed Chair Powell was talking, that's fair game, right? And the reason that's fair game is because they do affect the markets. Whenever they tweet or talk as an elected official and in that capacity, then their comments can affect the markets. And I want to make sure that people understand there's a difference there and that we all are very, very respectful of each other's opinions. It's very important to me that we all stay friends. A lot of people don't know that I have friends on both sides of the aisle, so I really don't care about either side, and I'm not the biggest fan of politicians. So, right. The thing I want to talk about now, and I want to wrap this up, is how excited I am about 2020. I know that we're deep into January now, but so much stuff is happening. We've heard from Raz, we've heard from Bert, we've heard from Ryan. We know what's going on in the newsroom. But I have been in the financial world a long time. I worked on Wall Street as well. I've been in the halls of government, and I will tell you that there is not a finer team than Benzinga. But what makes up
Shucks.
Makes me feel all warm.
But what's cool about it is it's not just the quality and the team itself, but it's the family aspect of that team, right? And that is the very core of what we believe as Raz does about Benzinga, that we want to bring the people that are using the product, we also consider them family as well. And so I always want to make sure that anybody watching, clients out there, you're family. Raz was not joking. He was telling you to call him. When I first met Raz a couple of years back, I will tell you, I didn't expect that. He called me too. I did not expect that. No joke. He will answer your phone call. Now, we all know he may call you at 10, 11 o'clock at night. He has time, but he will call you. And I've never seen a company like that. You think Elon Musk is going to call you back at midnight? I don't think so. As Jeff Bezos is kind of busy now with his new girlfriend, he isn't going to call you back. But I will tell you this much. At Benzinga, you are considered family, and I'm looking forward to 2020, 2021, 2022. It's going to be some exciting years, and you have a great opportunity to be a part of the staff as well. I mean, you have had access to Bert today. You've had access to the Newsdesk. You have access to Ron. You have access to me. I am so excited about talking to you. So if you're out there and you want to talk to even me, I'm out there as well. I can tell you that Ryan can put my email address out there at steven@benzinga.com. Not a problem. So, look, all looking forward to this new year, and let's go team, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Go team. Well said, Steve. Thank you very much. Real quickly, Tony had a really great idea, and while I've got Brent here, right before we sign off, Tony was saying, well, how about why is it moving on ticker SPY? Give us an idea of why SPY is moving. I think that would be a great suggestion.
That's a really good idea.
And this is what I'm talking about. This is the exact community interaction that we're hoping for. This is exactly what we want you to do as part of the family. So I just want to say thank you for everybody, for Jason, Andrew, Bert, Brent, and Steve. Thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it. We look forward to 2020 and beyond. And of course, until next time, happy trading.